Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. And it took my partner a long time to understand the process that you see now. And in certain ways you have rehearsed the process. For even in the small exercise you have just accomplished, you take that which is the first intuitive thought and you translate it as best you can into a linear concept or sentence or group of words or word. And many times it is metaphoric, and this is common. A puzzle that must be solved, an image that must be interpreted, even words that don't make sense, that will mean other things in other languages. And this is very, very normal. Spirit speaks to humanity one at a time and never in a group, if you've noticed. As this message is given to the group, it's not for the group. It's for each and individual soul in the room. An overlay of that, which is quantum, is metaphoric, the third language. Now, the third language is intuition, which rides upon the signal, if you wish, of the communication that you have accepted to hear in the room. Not on the audio, but the fact that you are tuned in with intent. And so every single channeling has an attribute of more than one communication. Some will hear the same words and feel the same energies and walk away feeling nothing happen. Another human sitting next to them will have the healing that they asked for. And so it's never a group energy. And that is why I speak to each one of you separately. It's complex. You tune in to the words, your logic understands the linearity of the syntax, and at the same time there are concepts being given to you through intuition. We call it the third language as a metaphor. For it is not the language that is after two. The third language is a language of the three. And the three, in numerological terms, is catalyst. So what would a language be that was catalytic? That would be an energy which changes something while it remains the same. As it comes in contact with something else, the something else changes while it remains stable. Therefore, you are receiving right now, at whatever level you wish to receive it, a catalytic message. And sometimes the message is simple. It's a safe place. You're with family. Or, this is real. The reality of the message, one of the biggest obstacles of a human being, is that the man in the chair pretending. Or is he doing what I think he is doing? And let me tell you what he's doing. Years it took him to understand the process and complement it with his energy. For in the beginning, when it was time for Kryon to come into this man's life, I came in with information that he called burst information. All at once, given to him as a thought group, as a concept, which he then had to interpret, but not in real time. That is to say, I would give him information, there would be a pause, and he would repeat what he thought he was. I would give him information, there would be a pause, and then he would repeat that, what he thought it was. So it was back and forth. And it was separate. And that is to say, there was Kryon and then there was Lee. Years later, up to 4, he started integrating that which was me and that which was him into a system that now flows. And let me tell you what the system is and how it works. I can feed him intuitive thought instantly. I can feed it to him faster than he can speak. And so the system goes like this. Channeling is the manifestation of translation of intuitive linearity. I have learned to slow down that which I wish the human beings to know to a pace that he can interpret in real time. And that was pretty good. Until about 4 years ago, when I asked him if he wanted to go to the next step. And he said, what step would that be? And I said, total integration. And that would be so that you could hear me. The love that I have for humanity, the compassion of the other side of the veil, and not just words. And so it was more than intuitive thought. It was concepts combined with a linear voice message, combined with the emotion of God, all in a package that was complex, that took him years to see and recognize and trust. So the words you hear now, he has no concept are coming until they are actually manifested in the air. It took him a long time. This is not what humans are used to. They want to know what's coming. They want the concepts at least to be presented in advance. And some of them are good at talking around concepts, so it becomes spirit and them. And that is also channeling. Some will take concepts and be able to channel around them with core information given to them at different points in their lecture channeling. That's valid channeling. Some will write it down. That's valid channeling. Some will paint a picture. And that's valid channeling. Some will compose music. It's beautiful. It touches your soul. And that's channeling. Some will have sculptures, and that's channeling. All the things which are creative on this planet, which fulfill a passion of delivery, of beauty to another human being, can be channeled. The healer who sits in front of the patient and receives the information from the patient's body, which we call innate, to them, allows them to channel the healing solution. They're channeling. When you face off with someone who is difficult and you wish to have the right words that will show the love of God in you and yet the sternness of truth, and you search your depth of language for the delivery, and then suddenly something comes out which is succinct and beautiful, and they have no words to reply because you have given them truth. And you will say, I wonder where that came from. That's channeling. And so when you face off in the groups, in this time, in this day, as you did, and you ask for a message for perhaps not only yourself, but for the others that you do not know, this exercise tests that which you feel uncomfortable with. For you are first faced with a social situation. What if I can't think of anything, you say? Will I appear to be a fool, you say? What if I look in their eyes and nothing comes across? you say. Well, I'll have something in reserve, perhaps, you say. I'll think of something wise to say in case I get nothing. And all of this is part of the process. And we know that. If you do this often enough, you learn to sit back and relax. And you don't think of anything in reserve. For you know that Spirit will give you something. And that something will be good enough. And you trust it. When my partner first began to work, he had concerns. What if he gathered an auditorium full of people and I did not show up? You don't think that occurred? What would he have in reserve? And he had to walk through this. And I let him. I let him think about it and worry about it until we integrated. And the best thing that ever happened to him is when he let go. When he let go of the concern, the worry, the embarrassment, the social necessity of survival, not to look bad. And that's when the intuition flew in. And that's when the portal opened up. That's when the pipeline gets bigger. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of the process of where it comes from. For you're told it, of course, originates in the brain. And it doesn't. For what you are experiencing, despite all the things that the psychologists will tell you, is not biological. And yet you are told that thought is processed and created by the brain in packages which they understand to be synapse, perhaps even going so far as to be called engrams of consciousness, carried in packets through nerves to present concepts that human beings have. Verbalized linearity, and whatever you want to call it.